Hi everyone, I'm the guy that runs the Did You Know Tensei Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook page, and now this YouTube channel. This isn't an entry in my trivia video series, so go ahead and stop watching if that's why you're here. This is the first episode of a new podcast I hope to continue, called Megaten Minute. It's not really a minute long. I kind of participated in podcasts before, so let me just run off the list. At first, I was a guest in the SMTN podcast. Then I helped start the Heretic Mansion podcast. And lastly, I was in the Amala Network podcast for a short time. These ventures really inspired me to try my hand at maintaining my own podcast. And I want to use this episode, the first one, to really get my mission statement across. I want to cover news, talk speculation, discuss Megaten collecting, and really just talk about Megaten in as many ways as I can think of. This YouTube channel, assuming I didn't put this on another media, will have three series. The first, with the largest gap between episodes, will be the trivia series. The second, with the second largest gap, will be the Collector's Compendium, which in simplest terms is an unboxing series that will have some tips and trivia about Megaten collecting. And the last and most frequent will be this series, the Megaten Minute, which you're listening to right now. I don't want to confirm an upload schedule just yet, because as some of you who have been following me since the beginning will know, I'm a pretty inconsistent uploader, historically. Before we talk Megaten, I kind of want to cover some of the games I'm currently playing. Right now on the Vita, I'm playing Digimon Stories Cyber Sleuth. On my PS4, I'm playing The Last Guardian. On my 3DS, I'm going through the ending or the end game of Pokemon Sun. And on the PC right now, I'm playing Civ Beyond Earth. Though I plan on marathoning through mainline S&T games in preparation for the new releases teased earlier this month. Which is an excellent segue into the next bit on the schedule. The news. 2017 is a big year for Atlas, arguably more so than 2016. With the Persona 20th anniversary coming to a close, the festival and concert music fading in the distance, we still have some amazing bits of Persona-related news. First, the February issue of the Japanese-only Persona magazine will focus on the retrospective of the series, and it'll cover lots of the events that happened in 2016 as a result of the anniversary, and more importantly, it'll include interviews with Shigenori Sojima and Katsura Hoshino. Just if you don't know, Sojima is the lead artist helming the Persona titles now, and Hoshino is the director of Persona 5, and his influence and pedigree extends into many other Megaten titles. We also have a new core team announced, with its own logo, as well as art and info regarding a new game. Let's start with the dev team name. Studio Zero. The logo and name are an obvious nod to the Full Arcana, which is fitting as the team includes the hands behind many of the Persona games. And they're recruiting new talent as well. I'm going to drop a link to the, let's call it a teaser, in the description, as well as a link to the website, which is literally rpg.jp. Atlas's game design purpose has always been to go against the trends, and since the trends are pretty much aligned with what Atlas has done for years, it's only natural that they would focus on going back to the roots of RPGs and really focus on a high fantasy epic. And good luck to them, based on the fact they put this in a article for Dengeki PlayStation, or the fact that it's in Dengeki PlayStation at all, makes me want to believe that it's going to be a PS4 release. But take that bit of speculation with a grain of salt. Since this really isn't Megaten related, but it is Atlas related, I'm not going to really go in much more detail. But Persona Central is a great aggregator of Atlas news, and they have many interesting news and translated interviews regarding this and other Atlas related content. I'm going to supply a link to their website as well in the description. Now for the real meat. As you all know, this is the 25th anniversary for the SMT franchise, or the 20th if you don't count Digital Devil Story 1 and 2. Atlas went the way they usually do, with a heavy-handed hint and then a vague trailer, teaser. They created a website dedicated to this anniversary, which they plan to celebrate. But in what way, though? If we follow what they did with Persona, then the least they can do would be a festival and some concert performances, and a big entrance into the series, which is what we got a taste of in the Nintendo livestream event for the Switch. The entrant in question is Shin Megami Tensei latest work. Let's summarize the trailer a bit. We get a dilapidated high rise, presumably in Tokyo, with some overgrowth and some flowers. Pan right, and we see a menagerie of demons, very reminiscent to the SMT1 box art or the Nocturne title screen. Further right, we see a rose petal toting Super Sentai Odin. Everyone's pretty excited about it, to be honest. And we are getting SMT5, in my opinion, as well as something else mainline or non-persona related. Which is which, though, is anyone's guess. Is the 3DS title SMT5, or is it the remake of SMT1 or 2 or something else? Is the 3DS title SMT5? Based on the emphasis that Atlas put on the numbered titles with the release date in the anniversary logo, this gives me the impression that the next game is going to be SMT5. Otherwise, next wouldn't be written on the top of the logo. And since it's the anniversary, I'm more inclined to believe that one of these two games will be a remake or remaster of a previous game. Historically, remakes for Atlas get approximately half as much of a return in profits, but they are cheaper to make, so it's more than feasible to see why they would do this from a business standpoint. We can also see that Persona 5 assets get used in the trailer, so they're doing that thing they do very often, which is recycling, like the good Samaritans they are. I'm also inclined to believe that there's a small chance that the HD project will be released on the PS4 as well. If they can swap assets like they did in the trailer, then there's some possibility that they are able to work it for both consoles. But when we consider how it was announced at the official Nintendo Switch livestream, that'd be an odd decision for a multi-platform to be shown at an event highlighting Nintendo Switch releases. So, what do I think these two games are? What am I hoping for? Strange Dirty 2 HD, Bugaboo's Big Adventure, and maybe a Devil Children Black Book remake. That being said, let's answer some questions. I'll be reading the names and linking their Tumblr or Twitter or whatever if applicable. Inkogen asks, what was your entry into the Megaten franchise and when was it? Unfortunately, I can't say I was one of the lucky few who started with Jack Bros or Revelations of Demon Slayer or even Demikids. I got introduced to Megaten through a friend of mine giving me Nocturne sometime around 2005. He explained he bought Nocturne because he thought it would be fun to try some sort of new RPG, but he said it was confusing, a bit like Pokemon, and I might like it. Hiroton Almighty 2011 asks, after playing Apocalypse, I feel Navarre didn't need to be a ghost, and he could have gone through with the same character arc if he was alive. What do you think? I 100% agree with you. Navarre has always been a character I liked. He is stubborn and essentially the rich spoiled brat trope or archetype. His death didn't really seem to suit his personality or the established trope, I guess, in my opinion. And his arc in Apocalypse truly would have been better if he were still alive, at least for me. I think his redesign slash death was an attempt to make a mascot character for the game, and that they probably planned to make a bunch of merch off of him, but they didn't do that. So I'm scratching my head wondering why they decided to kill off Navarre in the first place. Inverted Animations asks, obvious question, but why not? What's your favorite SNT game? This is a tough question, and I could break it down a few ways. In terms of recent releases, I quite like Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I can hear the elitist groan in the background. But this game gave me the Digital Devil Saga gameplay with the little additional perks, probably from Fire Emblem, but I haven't really played much of Fire Emblem, so I don't really know. Tokyo wasn't in ruins, but in a way, it kind of is because it's dominated by pop music. If I had to say of all time, maybe Strange Journey because it gave me Bugaboo. The gameplay is tight, and I like how they took everything from the older games, SMT 1, 2, If, etc., and they kind of just brought it into the modern, I guess, field. Um, Plus, the soundtrack is very cinematic and epic. The score is just, I guess, perfect for the end of the world. So let me just also add it on my top five: Strange Journey, TMS, Dancing All Night, Devil Children Black Book, and Last Bible Special. But sometimes I'll say different things because I flip flop on it a lot. The Despair Foundation asks, what are some clever gameplay elements that you find to be unique to Megaten? Really examining the gameplay, there's a lot of specificity to each spinoff, but they tend to pretty much all have negotiation. And so that's my answer. It's unusual to consider that the enemies you are grinding could potentially become allies, although this can happen in a couple other monster capture style games. There's also a large volume of demons and persona to choose from. So each player pretty much has like their favorite that they tend to use in each game. So then you can walk by any other player and see what they have in their party, and they can tell you, my demons are a bit different, and they're probably right. Plus negotiations, plus negotiations tend to be fun, except in Last Bible, where they're pretty random and seem to have no rhyme or reason, or at least not in the first couple games. But I'll save that complaint for a future episode. And the last question is asked from someone anonymously. The anonymous user says, I have some questions for your podcast. Number one, what do you think the 25th anniversary project is? A remake of SMT 1 2 slash Nocturne or an entirely new thing? Do you think that an SMT character should get into Smash Bros? And if yes, which one? Going back to what I was saying earlier, I'm pretty sure that one of them is SMT5, and the other is probably a remake or remaster of SMT 1 and 2. Most likely both of them together. In regards to Smash, it would be nice to see an SMT character in Smash, but the preferred one for me would probably be Jack Frost or maybe the Jack Bros. All three of them together. If it was the Jack Bros and they'd be using skills that they use in the game, which would be fun, a nice little nod. They could also add in assist trophies. Pascal could come through a portal and attack. Demoniho can shoot a barrage of bullets at the enemy. Setsuna could summon his Cerberus, cool. Soline from Last Bible could come leaping across stage, and there's a lot more they can really do. And I would love to see a final smash be something like the Jack Bros calling all the protagonists to help, or maybe he goes to the Cathedral of Set Shadows and fuses to become King Frost or Frost Ace or something. That'd be pretty awesome. And that concludes the episode. Thanks for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at DiginoTensei. Tumblr is DiginoTensei, and Facebook is, you guessed it, DiginoTensei. How much maka do I have to give you for a like and a subscription? Um, what do you want to be in the next episode, or what do you want me to talk about? Do you want me to talk about SMT Vaporware, or the SMT timeline, or something else? Comment below what you want. Thanks again, and remember to try not to feel too bad.